Hello? Can y'all hear me? We good? Okay. Yeah, it was bugging me out. It was like, microphone's not working. I'm like, oh, that's perfect timing. Yeah. Welcome, y'all, to Make It Make Sense. This is my sensory body generative poetry workshop. I thank y'all from the bottom of my heart, as does the Nuyorican Poets Cafe, for coming out today. I'm so honored to have y'all here. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me on a Saturday afternoon on a gorgeous July day. My name is Paul Latour, aka Paul con Queso, and I'm a poet, professor, publisher. I work at Bloomfield College in New Jersey, and I've been reading with the Nuyorican for however long this pandemic has been going on. But they've now entrusted me to teach. So they don't f***ed up. No, not at all. But yeah, I'm very excited today to share some of my approaches at writing, some very experimental techniques, some of my favorite poets and poems to throw at y'all, a diverse, eclectic collection of stuffs. So we're gonna get into it in just a second. I'm very excited to see what you all produce today. So we are going to have a few sharing sessions. We're going to have a couple of breakout rooms and whole group rooms. I have a total of 7 free writes for us to do today. So we'll see if I'm being overly ambitious or we can budget our time. So with that being said, I'm going to shut the fuck up and we are going to get to Make It Make Sense. Just to be clear, y'all, this is a very democratic process. So if y'all have questions at any point in time, I implore you all to raise your hand, to unmute, to throw your concerns in the chat, because I want to ensure that you all are being heard, right? Access is very important to me, and I'm also going to provide a few accommodations for some of our writing prompts for some of these that are sensory related tasks, right? So welcome, y'all. Make It Make Sense, presented by the Nuyo and facilitated by myself today. So first opportunity for participation. Can any of y'all tell me, accessing prior knowledge, what is sensory? What are sensory details, imagery? What do you think we mean by sensory poetry? Anybody who wants, you can unmute, raise your hand. Yeah, Terry, go ahead.
Anything where you use your senses, your hearing,
Yes.
your taste, your eyes, your touch.
Yes. Yeah, every time I teach sensory, I legit forget what the 5 senses are. And I'll go around the class and be like, so what are our 5 senses again? Right? What are our 5 senses? Sight, hearing, taste, touch, smell. Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate you. Oh, it's not allowing y'all to unmute you. Well, if y'all raise your hand, I got you. Yes, Amanda.
I think beyond the 5 senses, like the first thing I thought about was like the shit that I can't put into words, even as a poet. Like there's shit that I know that I feel, even if it's in my body, and I can't like identify where in my body it is. So I also think about the things that I can't put in words.
So like 6th sensory, like, yeah, super beyond just the physical corporeal, like the stuff that we feel in our essence and our soul, right? I definitely think that qualifies too. And we got some brilliant stuff, Miro, words that bring us into the space that make us feel like we're actually experiencing it. Ooh, bring the poetry in the chat, right? Yeah, so just a real, sensory imagery, right? It's any description involving our 5 senses, and then they tell us what that is, right? So I had a cheat sheet. I just didn't want to rely on it. Poetry that is rich in sensory detail helps readers perfectly envision the scene that the poet's describing, right? Like we could say something that is just an image, is just like a picture, right? I walked in the grass. That's not as, we're looking for deep sensory imagery, right? Imagery that literally pulls you into that 6th sense of it, that becomes richer when we change it to just the grass, the charred scent of the crisp, freshly burned grass stabbed my nose as it crumbled under my feet, right? So using adjectives, using these very, very tangible, concrete accessing all of our senses, right? The taste, what is the taste of something, right? Plays a prime role in developing your sensory imagery. Some adjectives are better than others. Some are deeper, right? And that's what I'm going to push y'all to do today is to not just present an image, but really push our senses into our imagery, right? So a lot of tools, metaphors, right? Calling a breakup, saying it creates a sharp stabbing pain, right? Can help you better relate to and get a sense of what that person means, right? Rather than just like, I'm heartbroken. Yeah, absolutely, Roz. It places us there and makes it more real, right? Like actually being able to orient yourself in a situation by dropping you in and being like, oh, well, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm hearing, right? It literally is like virtual reality reading. So yeah, using these metaphors, right? Like a raging fire or a rolling tide explaining anger, right? So this allows us to be a lot more engaging the reader's senses. Exactly. Fly on the wall. Y'all are just killing it in the chat. All right, now we're going to talk about the other flip side of this workshop. What is body poetry? What do y'all think body poetry is? Raise your hands, could throw it in the chat. What do we think qualifies as a body? Head, shoulders, knees and toes, knees and toes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out. Is that what we're doing here? Does it tie into performance? It does kind of tie into the performance. Writing from the womb. Okay, well, literally writing about the womb, through the womb, yeah, to the womb, and playing with cliches, making them new. All right, let's go, maestro.
So if you bring everything to present, when you are not somewhere else and you are just in the moment, that's when your students or my students have said, you're doing too much. Because you are all of that, whether it's the details or the mouse peeing in the cotton in the corner, you got the details that somebody is going to be present with you. So that's really, really challenging. And going to what Amanda was saying, that's where the exploration in the discussion with your muse is going to help you identify, damn, you feel something and you got no words for it, doesn't mean that you don't know. So it's that kind of exploration, I think.
This is why you're the maestro, Norm. This is why you're the maestro. Like so I'm handing this class off to Norm in the next 5 minutes. Norm will be teaching for the next hour and 45. No, beautifully stated. Thank you for your contribution. I appreciate you. Amanda, would you like to chime in?
I feel like I'm taking up a lot of space. No, okay. So for me, all the poetry I write is body poetry, just because I think my role as a poet is to come as close as I can to putting the ineffable in words. Like that is my challenge, that is my role, that's my responsibility. Yeah, so just being able to come as close as I can. And if that happens, then it is coming from my womb, it's coming from my body. So whether I'm describing the body or not, whether it hits somebody in their body, it's considered body poetry to me.
So body as a vessel, us being used as vessels. Yeah, I'm just gonna go real. Let's see if we could try and keep our responses. Oh, sorry, my bad. I'm trying to ask propaganda, Beowulf. General, I got you next. It's a little choppy.
The first time I've ever zooming on my phone. But I was gonna say body poetry, one of the things that is really powerful and effective with body poetry is that we all have a body and we all share these physical pains. And when we can express our emotional pain in ways to this physical pain, we immediately can relate to people who we may not be able to relate to otherwise. Which is, like I come to you with fractured knees, like talking about how trauma's destroyed my knees, and like immediately we know the pain of a fractured knee. And so now we add that to like, it's, yeah, et cetera, et cetera.
So bodies is like a common denominator, like a human common denominator. Really beautifully
Absolutely.
put there. Yeah. I'm going to move to the general next. Here comes the general.
So in a similar way as place poetry will take you to another place, body poetry lets you feel the same thing that the poet feels in their body. So you can, as opposed to just being a fly on the wall, you become that person listening to their poem or reading their poem.
So you inhabit the body. You literally are a body snatcher.
Yeah, by experiencing the poetry, however you experience it, you sometimes fall into, your mind lets you be.
Yeah, I mean, beautifully stated.
Yes.
Yeah, the detail brings you to the body, into the body almost, to where you can picture it, you can envision, you know, being beside whatever the perspective is in the poem, right? So yeah, I think that's beautiful transition. We're going to end it there because it can't be stated any better, right? Body poems can be celebrations. They can be in a state of awe. Poems that will look into the mysteries of the body, its dream of flesh, right? That we look at these common denominators of, we all have bones and skeletons. So when we write about hollowing out bones, right? Or you see through the marrow of me, right? Using these phrases are things that we all have a connection to and we all possess. So it's that human universal denominator, right? And it often goes to sensual places too, because writing about the body is innately sensual, right? So we all, you know, poems that praise the brain, the mind, the arms, the genitals, the heart, right? The heart is probably one of the most written about things in all of poetry, right? So like when we think about it, not just that abstract version of the heart, like romance, but the literal, physical, tangible, we're going to see today some different representations of the heart and the body. But if we're looking at one of the OGs of beat poetry, right, who echoed in Footnote to Howl, right? The world is holy, the soul is holy, the skin is holy, the nose is holy, the tongue and cock and hand and asshole holy, everything is holy, everybody's holy, everywhere is holy, every day is an eternity, every man's an angel, right? So it's kind of echoing what we were saying about that common denominator. Poems about the body are also poems about history. Our bodies are maps and atlases. We contain our ancestors and everyone who has ever contributed to us being here within us. So body poems are also atlases, right? It allows us to consider the long genealogies, the body being an heirloom, right? It is a coat of flesh and vessel of being that has been handed down to us generations, right? As Marge Piercy wrote, my mother's body. This coat that has been handed down, an heirloom, this coat of black hair and ample flesh. Or like brilliant veteran poet Yusef Komunyakaa said in his poem Anodyne, which we're going to read very shortly, he declared that he loved his body clear down to the soft, quick motor of each breath, and that his body is a steady reminder of history. So we're going to jump into actually reading some poems, y'all, because that's what we're here for, right? So I'm going to ask for volunteers. So I mean, like, there's no bias if you raise your hand first and I don't call on you. It's just whoever I see pop up first. So would somebody like to read this poem called Flying Inside Your Own Body? Miro. All right. Let's roll with Miro.
Okay. Flying Inside Your Own Body by Margaret Atwood. Your lungs fill and spread themselves, wings of pink blood, and your bones empty themselves and become hollow. When you breathe in, you'll lift like a balloon, and your heart is light too and huge, beating with pure joy, pure helium. The sun's white winds blow through you. There's nothing above you. You see the earth now as an oval jewel, radiant and sea blue with love. It's only in dreams you can do this. Waking, your heart is a shaken fist. A fine dust clogs the air you breathe in. The sun's a hot copper weight pressing straight down on the thick pink rind of your skull. It's always the moment just before gunshot. You try and try to rise, but you cannot.
Woo. Okay, so thank you for that read. I'm going to give the reader an opportunity to grab a line she might like or something that stood out as you were reading, just viscerally. No major analysis. We're all coming into these cold. But is there a line that, as you were saying it, it left your tongue and you're like, well, shit, thank you, Margaret?
I mean, just like all of it. Like, first of all, the fact that it's in second person just puts it different, because like I don't read a lot of second person. So that always sort of puts me off. But like this is really lovely. I don't know.
It's okay. That observation alone, that's some Miro writes poems shit, right? Like, thank you for that input. Would anybody else like to weigh in with a line that they really liked? We're not going to unpack all of these. We're going to use a lot of these poems as inspiration. But was there a moment? Is there an image? Is there something that Margaret is doing with a particular body? Yeah, Martina, I would love if you would chime in. Can you unmute? There we go.
And your bones empty themselves and become hollow.
Yeah, your bones empty themselves and become hot. Like, we're becoming birds, basically, right? Within the confines of this poem. That is a really powerful line and moment. That's something that grabbed me too, and y'all will see. Yeah, go ahead, Amanda.
It's always the moment just before gunshot. You try and is like, not to be dramatic, but it's almost, I was like, okay, well, that ending is it for me.
Yeah, and then the rhyme between gunshot and cannot, and it's so syntactically sharp. Like, it's always the moment just before gunshot. Gunshot becomes this active verb, not a gunshot, not the gun is shot. The moment just before gunshot that gives it that power. Abraham, last comment we got, and then we're gonna move on to another poem. Go ahead, brother. Can't hear you. Can't hear you. We might be having technical difficulties, Abe. It's okay. All right. We'll circle back around. We'll circle back around. Appreciate you though, brother. Thank you, men who heal. Love that, man. All right. So Anodyne, one of my favorite poets. And this is a poem near and dear to my heart. Would somebody like to read this piece? It is read down and then down. All right, Finn. Ooh, I would love to hear this poem in your voice. The floor is yours.
Anodyne. Excuse me. I love how it swells into a temple where it is held prisoner, where the god of blame resides. I love slopes and peaks and barking.
All right, so a little bit of technical difficulty. Would somebody like to take over? Okay. Ron.
I'll give it a try, even though I really wanted Finn to read it.
We'll get her. We'll get her on the next one.
Okay. The dogs approve of it. I don't have any dogs, so let me try. Anodyne. Hold on, let me make it bigger so I can see everything on my end. Close. Okay. Anodyne by Joseph Kamunyaka. Sorry, I'm butchering the name. I love how it swells into a temple where it is held prisoner, where the god of blame resides. I love slopes and peaks, the secret paths that make me selfish. I love my crooked feet shaped by vanity and work, shoes made to outlast belief. The hardness coupling milk it can't fashion. I love the lips, salt and honeycomb comb on the tongue, the hair holding off rain and snow, the white moons on my fingernails. I love how everything begs blood into song and prayer inside an egg. A ghost hums through my bones like Pan's midnight flute, shaping internal laws besides a troubled river. I love this body made to weather the storm in the brain, raised out of the deep smell of fish and water hyacinth, out of rapture and the first regret. I love my big hands. I love it clear down to the soft, quick motor of each breath, the liver's 10 kinds of desire, and the kidney's lust for sugar. This skin, this sack of dung and joy, this spleen floating like a compass needle inside nighttime, always divining West Africa's dusty horizon. I love the birthmark posed like a fighting cock on my right shoulder blade. I love this body, this solo and ragtime jubilee behind the left nipple, because I know I was born to wear out last 100 angels. I'm sorry, to wear out at least 100 angels.
Thank you for that. Read RMT. We're down with you. Oh man, that was beautiful. A beautiful reading of Yusef Komunyakas. Amazing poem, Anodyne. So I'm gonna ask folks for lines that grab them, but I just want to note that this is already the second time the word cock has appeared in this workshop. That is not intentional, but it's, you know, there. Who would like to raise your hand if you'd like to grab an image that stood out to you? A line.
The kidney's lust for sugar, this sack of dung and joy. Like that was just, it's sublime.
Body is a sack of dung and joy, right? Like
what we are. It's what we are. Like
yeah.
The human body is a disgusting place, but it's also like unfathomable.
It is a beautiful waste factory. Right? All right. So thank you so much, Miro. Roz?
I put it in the chat, but the line that says, I love this body made to weather the storm in the brain. That, it just resonated. And it was just so powerful. Like,
yeah, because that's our flip side. Our flip side of everything that goes on with us mentally is physically, right? So it's like, even when our mind's working against us, our body is working for us. It keeps us alive, right? Yep. Dominique, give me 1 second.
Okay. I really love the line, I love the lips, salt and honeycomb of the tongue. Like I could just taste it, like as I read that, like just feeling the taste, like just tasting it, and like it was just so visceral. Yeah.
Visceral is such a good word too to describe it. Like, okay, poet. Okay. Extra poet points. Appreciate you so much, Dominique. Amanda.
So many lines, but I think this line and the kidney's lust for sugar is so fucking interesting, because anyone that has kidney problems or has a relative with kidney problems knows that salt is actually the enemy of kidneys. So for this line to say, and the kidney's lust for sugar, just fucked me up, because I would almost assume that it would say something about salt, right? Like wanting its own enemy. And then for it to be a plot twist and be sugar, I was like, oh. But there's another one. The white moon on my fingernails. I love the moon, so anything about the moon. Then I think of like the white moons on my fingernails. I think of like dust, dirt under your nails, and then this is another flip on that. Like, yeah, this was trippy.
Yeah, there could be two moons. It could be the cuticles. It could be when you push back those cuticles, and then you have that half, whatever you call it, the half moon, and then you have the crescents, which are your actual fingernails. This is just gorgeous imagery. Ray.
Hey. I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm at a wedding right now, so please forgive me.
Taking time out of a wedding for us.
Was about to miss it, not even a little bit. A ghost hums through my bones like Pan's midnight flute. I thought was so dope. I think a lot of us, when we talk about poetry, or at least certainly for me, the parts that are the strongest or most impactful are the parts that I feel may come from not me, but maybe from my ancestors. So that part hit me.
So the earth, yeah.
Keep going.
The connection to Pan, yeah. Gonna take one or two. Gonna have to make these short because I want us to get writing. Diane.
Unmute. Can you hear me?
You're perfect. Yeah.
Can you hear me? I thought everything was summed up in the last line, because I know I was born to wear out at least 100 angels. So everything, all this whole functioning of the body, every time it breaks down or goes amok or whatever, there's an angel there to put it right back in place. So for all these things that happen, everything, the liver, the kidney, the brain, the hands, so all of this, I think it's significant that the very last line is because I know I was born to wear it at least 100 angels that always tick everything, put everything back in place, put you back in shape, recenter, re-synergize, put all the working parts. They're like little clock fixers, because everything is coordinated in your body. And then when it's not, then you've got these little angels, for lack of a better word, whatever, that come right in, swoop in, and do their job, and then disappear. And then you're back to start the whole thing all over again.
And I love the idea of outlasting the angels, right? Like literally these angels are our saviors, but it's like our body, each time we're rescued, it's just like, okay, it's a continuation. Thank you for that contribution, Diane. Beautifully put. I think we're gonna roll with, let's see if Abe's got his mic worked out.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Got you, brother.
All right, perfect. I love the line. I love the birthmark posed like a fighting cock on my right shoulder blade. I love how they describe that birthmark almost like a spirit animal, almost like something that was preordained from something divine.
Like a protector, like a protector, right?
Like a protector, but also like, you know, like just the way the way the author put that together, it's almost like there's a bit of swag in it. There's a bit of their own particular flair.
Yeah.
Like a fighting cock, like a birthmark posing like a fighting cock. It's like there's definitely their flair.
It's better than a tattoo, right? This birthmark is a tattoo. Yeah.
You know, but I just think, like, you know, it's something. I don't know. I just thought it's very visual. Like I can see it, but also I can see I can feel the attachment to that birthmark.
Yeah. And thank you so much for sharing that, Abe. I want to chime in on a line I love, but if it's one that Ron is going to take, I don't want to steal it from him. So I'm going to now ask Ron to unmute, and that's going to be our last on this poem. Ron.
Yeah, you know what, and you and Diane explained it, because that last line, I was a little bit confused because it's different from the rest of the poem. So, you know, I'm glad you both got into that, because that was interesting. But I may be the only one. When I look at poems, I'm also looking at the structure, and you purposely have both put side by side. The cold read was very difficult because the long lines were broken up into short lines. And, had I read it before, it would have been easier. So the poet purposely did that for a reason. And ampersand instead of and, which I also found very interesting. So yeah, I'm looking at not just the word and the details, but also why did the poet choose this column-like, very short but yet long, that's like, whoa, there must be something about that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of ampersands over spelling out and, maybe because I'm lazy, but I also they look cool. They look cool to me. But okay, so one line I really loved, I love this body, this solo and ragtime jubilee behind the left nipple. Like, can we picture, it's just like, we know what that is, right? The solo and ragtime jubilee behind our nipple. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful way to describe the heart without the heart. Having to even utter the word heart in a body poem, right? Like, that's fucking phenomenal. Anyway, I stand Yusef. Whew. All right, so we're gonna get to our first free write of the day, but definitely not our last. So y'all, those of you who have, this was put in the invitation, but if you have a notebook you can use, right? Like, it doesn't have to be a Game Boy notebook, but if you have a notebook to actually physically write in, I would suggest that, but that's a spoiler alert for later. If you need to use Google Docs, if you need to use a word processor, if you need to use your phone, use whatever you need to use as far as access. But my recommendation for these first 3 free writes at least is to use a tangible, concrete vessel to write in, right? Speaking of physical. So for free write exercise 1, I'm gonna give y'all 4 minutes. I know it's a little bit quick, but we're gonna be moving quick today. So consider your connection to your body, to anatomy, or the anatomy and body parts of another person, right? So it doesn't have to be you writing about your body like Yusef did, right? So it can be something in praise of another. You can look at my father's forearms, right? And then describe them as he held you as a baby, whatever you want to do. Consider interesting, deep sensory imagery to describe these body parts. And then just free write using your senses about feeling connected or not feeling connected to this body. And as a challenge, as an added layer, either include the phrase, I love how it, like how Yusef Komanyaka begins his poem, I love how it swells into a temple, right? Or the line that Martina brilliantly pointed out, right? Your bones empty themselves, right? So find a way to insert either one or both of those. It is 1:35, kind of perfect timing. We will come back together at about 1:39, 1:40. All right, so everybody get to writing. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just choose one body part on yourself or another and write as detailed as you can about all of the symbols, all of the images, metaphors you can pull. Right, about 1 minute and 30 seconds left. This does not need to be a complete piece. We'll have an opportunity to expand on this in our next couple of free writes. All right, beautiful poetic people. Whatever line you are on, please try and bring it to a close. Whatever image you are currently crafting, lay it down, let it know it will have time to rise. All right, so we're not gonna get to sharing just yet. So just keep it there, keep it beside, in the pocket. We're gonna move on to another free write exercise. So I told y'all you're gonna have the opportunity to expand if you didn't finish. So now consider your connection to either this body part or the anatomy of yourself or another, and place yourself and this person in some location you would like to be in this moment. Take the opportunity to be like, oh, all right, it's my body, so I'm going to choose to be in my happy place, right? Or I'm going to choose to be in my dream destination, right? Or if you chose another person, you can place them there if you want them to get the fuck away from you, or you want to place yourself with them there and you be on vacation. This is where we get to literally take the sensory and transport people to a place. And to describe a location, not just a body, but a location with sensory details also. Consider the sensory details of this place, i.e. the taste of fresh cut mangoes while on a beach in the Caribbean, or the scent of fresh coffee while in a Mediterranean marketplace, right? So consider, right, is it, you know, French pressed coffee, and you can smell it permeating. You could smell that, or you taste the smooth, unctuous feeling of the mango as you chew it with your back molars, right? Okay, but I want y'all to all picture this person in this place. And for those of us with a notebook, I want us to take our pens and place it down on our pad, on our paper. Those of us without one, I want you to have faith in yourself and trust yourself, and just put your hands on whatever keys you are using, because we're all going to close our eyes while we write this. We're not going to look at all. So we're just going to go on faith. We're going to write blind, right? So close your eyes while writing this scene. Don't open them for any reason unless your pen comes off the page, right? Or you have to flip to the next one. And if you're using a word processing program, close your eyes. Don't look at your keyboard. Don't look at your screen. Just trust that it's okay. Typos are okay. Free writes are zero drafts. Fucking up is all right. It's a necessary part of learning, right? So just feel for these words. And if you have a ton of mistakes and typos and your writing is all over the place after, that's what rewriting is for. This is just about getting it out, right? So we are all going to close our eyes and trust ourselves in this moment, right? So we're going to take the next 4 minutes. We're going to check in at 146. Please write about your body in this place, or the person's body you wrote about in the first section, in this space, in this place. Only open your eyes to resituate yourself. We've got about another minute or two. Okay, potent poets. How was that experience? Wrap up whatever line you're on. Does anybody want to raise their hand and let me know how writing with their eyes closed worked for them? Or didn't work for them? Yeah, go ahead, Jersey G's.
Well, it was interesting because when I was writing it, my pen was like, "You're going all over the place," and I'm like, "Okay." My eyes, I'm like, "What the frick is this?" I'm like, "Okay, I'll just fix it up." But no, it was really cool because like when you're writing it, it was you felt like you were embracing the poem that you were writing, and it was more easier for me to come up with the words rather than to me to think of a word.
So you're feeling.
You felt it, you had a relationship with your poem in a way, in a way for me. That's the way how I felt anything.
Yeah. It's like the scene in the first Star Wars when Luke has to lightsaber battle with the blindfold on, you're just trusting the Force. Yeah. All right.
Exactly.
Thank you for weighing in, Mr. Cult Leader of ours. Abraham. Then we're gonna move to Catherine. Welcome, Dizziness. What's good?
It was fun. I mean, I think I do that sometimes on writing often. I just have never done it with like in a time crunch. But it was but that time crunch really did kind of I felt more pressed to think, more pressed to kind of lean into my thoughts, into my imagination, versus like trying to find like I wasn't too concerned with the wording. I was more concerned with like what am I seeing? I was like, what am I seeing? Like what am I seeing versus like what do I want to say? Yeah. And I think it kind of helped better focus my agenda. You know what I mean?
And it kind of, not having your eyes open helps you focus only on those images, right? Instead of the surroundings that you have around you. When your eyes are shut, you have to be there, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you are. Yeah. Beautiful. Thank you for chiming in, brother. Catherine? You with us?
Hello? Are you hearing me?
Hey,
hi.
Yeah, hear you perfectly. Hey.
Hey, hi. Thank you for inviting me to the freewrite. I felt it was like a combat, exactly as you said. It was my personal combat between holding my pen, connecting with the page on my notebook, and finding the word, which is a usual, it's a usual scenario with writing, except they all came together to me in that one fell moment. So you're actually really connecting with what you want or what you can say in that, in also having the time limit for me was different because I'm just a hobbyist writer. So, well, I mean for poetry, but I think it was interesting, definitely. I've tried to paint with a blindfold before, but a totally different experience.
You tried to paint, you said?
Yes, I paint as a hobby, and I've done it.
I thought you were saying with your words. I thought you're like, I tried to paint with my words. I'm like, that's a beautiful way, that's a very imagistic way to put it. Yeah. No.
About my painting because my words are so basic. It was like I wrote ABC.
Yeah. Now your challenge is to paint blind. Okay.
Correct.
No.
That's what different. It's different when you paint blind. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's just trust ourselves in everything we love. Cook? No, that might be dangerous. All right. Thank you so much, Catherine. Thank you for weighing in and thank you for being here. Let's roll with my friend Yasmin.
Hey y'all.
I'm so happy to see you.
I'm happy to be here. This is awesome already. Just to really piggyback off of what everyone said, I definitely felt my words more than I could, have with looking at my page. But I did feel like that disconnect. Maybe it's my perfectionism where I was like, okay, let me open up my eyes. Am I doing this right? So I felt like
you didn't trust your pen. You didn't trust your pen?
Yeah, I didn't trust my pen or myself with the pen, I guess. Because I was like, okay. But also I really felt the imagery and I saw it more deeply. But the way that I wanted to convey it still was kind of like a little of a disconnect. If you see what I mean, like getting the words to the paper. And I feel like I had that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I feel like I have that a lot though when I'm writing, where it's like, okay, I have this big vision, or I can freestyle my words in my head, but to get it on paper, it's something different.
Yeah, thank you for that input. Oh my God, yeah. And I feel like, you know, not worrying about sloppiness is something we have to let go of too. You know, stop the perfectionism in your writing until you get to later drafts. Amanda.
That was so difficult. Like, it was amazing. I think it was Ray Jane that said scary but free. So much came up, and I'll keep it short for the sake of time. But the first thing I realized was that I've never done that before. And I also realized the only time that I have my eyes closed when I'm not sleeping is when I'm meditating. So it was freaky because my body was like, sis, we're not meditating right now. Like, what's going on? We're writing, we're thinking about other people. Like, what is going on? So it was almost like telepathically inviting someone into meditation. It was trippy. I'm going to do it more often, but I was like, wow, this is hard. But it was great. It was, again, freeing and scary, whatever the hell Stormy said. But yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, it's once you do it, it's definitely a tool to add to the repertoire to be like, I'm gonna, you know, trust myself. I'm gonna close the eyes right today. Roz.
I'm definitely gonna do this more often. I typically compose my poetry on a Google Doc so that it flows freely, and I don't really allow myself the opportunity to make mistakes. Or like I get mad when I have to cross stuff out, but this was an exercise that allowed for mistakes to happen, for things not to be perfect. And
Trustful.
like it right. So something that it was just freeing, and I'm gonna do this more often because it really did connect me to that place, and allows for error to be okay.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Roz, for that input. I'm going to try and move through these last two quickly just because I want us to get to another prompt and then some sharing. I want y'all to share this beautiful stuff you're unearthing. Storm God's in the building, brother.
God's in the building all day, every day. So look, this I have to say was scary. For me, it felt like the piece of my imagination that I very rarely get a chance to just like let off the chain, just was like, oh, finally. And and I had to open my eyes for a second, like, wait, you know what I mean? Because it's like, no, my hand can't keep up that fast when my primal imagination kind of takes over. And when I closed my eyes and kind of sunk into that shit, like I said, it was almost scary because I felt my whole body just like, yeah, let's get it. So, but it's dope. I'm definitely going to get back into that. So.
Yes. We're going to have an opportunity to continue these exact pieces in the next one. Last, Sifu Thomas. Mi hermano, let's go.
What's up, man? Yeah, man. I kind of, I'm on Elementals page. When I just closed my eyes, I saw a whole canvas of words, and it was just like, oh shit, where do I start? Where do I go? It was liberating, but like he said, it was scary because you just couldn't pull it back. You had all these emotions and thoughts and words that you just wanted to have meshed together. And the fact that you gave it in such a little bit of a time frame, I was like, shit, what the?
Gotta push. You just gotta go. You gotta trust it.
Caught me off guard with that one, fam. But yeah. I'm gonna like Elemental. I'm gonna try and do this more often. I'm gonna try to let my pen do its work. That's it.
Trusting. We gotta trust our instincts and our pens.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you, brother. Thank you for your input. All right.
Yeah.
So another free write. I hope y'all are ready to trust yourselves again. And also, this is about brevity and conciseness, right? So instead of just being about roam free, whatever, I'm gonna push y'all to condense and to choose the words you really want to use. And the way I'm doing that is all of us right now are gonna, if we're using a writing utensil, take it in your writing hand and you switch that shit up. You take your non-dominant hand if you're writing on paper. And if you are typing, you take your non-dominant hand and you tie the other behind your back. You are one-handed hunt and peck if you're using a device. And if you're writing, you are using the one you never use in this third prompt, where I want you to write using your non-dominant hand. and continue that same free write you got into with your eyes closed. I want you to stay in that place, stay in that space, but you cannot use your dominant hand. And don't lie. Don't be like, oh, I'm a left. I was born a lefty, I swear. Honor yourself. And this is going to make you be selective. So let's get to it. We have another 4 minutes. And also, no perfectionism. Don't worry about what it looks like. We're going to come together at 2 o'clock. Two-minute warning. Don't quit, y'all. Don't quit. Stick through it. It is a challenge. By design. FYI, y'all are allowed to look during this portion of the writing. Like, you don't have to do the double challenge. So I see some folks are not looking and writing with their non-dominant hand. Should I have been more specific, I guess? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Well, y'all, if y'all have been doing the double challenge, then kudos to you. You could have had your eyes open. I should have been more explicit or implicit in that. But yeah, anyway, you survived it, right? So wrap up whatever line you are on. Making some art. Yeah, we're making spirographs. We're just painting, literally. Everything is illegible. Oh no. Oh no. Well, I hope we got something to hold on to at least. All right, write down what was in your mind real quick. Just shorthanded, but I liked it. Yeah, that's what I love to hear. All right, so does anybody want to speak? Well, we can speak on this, but I'm also going to allow everybody to have a quick room share on any of these 3 prompts. You can share what you wrote about, how much of a challenge it was for you, whatever you want. So we're going to do a whole group sharing time where y'all can let me know if you want. Whoever raises their hand, we could do 3 or 4 folks to share one of the pieces, either the first one where you had all your senses, the second where we robbed ourselves of sight, or the last where we kind of either double challenged it or completely just messed ourselves up. Miro. Then we're going to roll with Norm.
Okay, wow. So this is what my third one looks like. I don't know if you can see this. Like, this is my normal handwriting, and this is like my left hand handwriting.
And you looked, right? And you looked, and it was still
yes. So I looked for this one.
Gibberish. Yeah.
But the closing my eyes one is the one I'll share for now. Even though the third one is a little bit kind of a continuation. The closing the eyes was interesting, and I got a whole lump in my throat thing. It was like so. Okay. My body is a tree, tall, swaying in the ocean breeze of the Pacific Northwest, though I've never actually been. I'm grounded at one, peaceful with the elements, generous without forgetting to provide for me, connected to the pulsing web of life that exists underneath and all around.
Oof, the pulsing web of life underneath, like, oh. I want to snap for that. I want all of y'all to throw up reactions if you want. I wish we could all. I'll ask y'all to unmute before we're done. But wow, that was powerful. You made that in my workshop, Miro. How did that feel?
That was really interesting because I'm very much used to like crossing out as I go. So like this was the first poem with all the senses with like crossing out as I go, and then this was the second one. Where, like I looked a couple of times to make sure I was still. On the page.
Still on the page.
But
you trusted yourself a lot more, right? You trusted your words.
Yeah, it's like I didn't really have much time to think.
To doubt. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Miro.
Thanks.
Maestro.
Okay. Now, Paul.
Yes.
A lot of the people that's in this room are people in our family, yeah?
Yes.
Which means that this is a vulnerable space, yes?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay, I'm diving in. So, I love how my pelvic floor lays there like a hammock between my pelvic crests, swinging lazy like a leg over the side of the hammock, swinging to its own rhythm, a scrotum with soft and precious jewels. Here's the blind part. A jumble of motions find their rhythm of 2 pelvic crests swaying together. The space is filled with joy and dancing hammocks. Reposition to move in tandem like a dance that both dancers know where the dip happens. And this is writing with the left hand. No grinding metaphors, only dancing and swaying in my pelvic hammock, because the pelvic floor gets slippery when it's wet.
Oh my God. What? Okay. All right. Wow. So that happened in this room. Maestro, wow. I expect to see that published somewhere, and I'm honored to be part of its process. That was phenomenal. You just trusting and carrying that metaphor of the hammock and just the vibrancy of it, the dance. When two people came in, the pelvic floor, yeah. So which of those 3 do you think pushed you the most? Which of those 3 prompts?
It was the body part. You know, go for the body part. We talk about our feet. No, we don't talk about our feet. But we usually talk about the pelvic floor in other ways. And Actually, I've never written a poem like this before through those prompts. And trusting, motherfucker, I'm trusting you that you ain't even gonna let me fall off somewhere. Anyway, thank you so much for the challenges.
Absolutely, brother. And this is a space of love and trust. You know, we trust fall, we catch each other. Thank you for trusting us, brother. Ooh. All right. I'm gonna ask the actress Emily Cordes, rhymes with goddess.
Hello. Yeah, it was kind of interesting how the prompts all kind of like one kind of like fed into another for me. Like I think the first one I was kind of writing a little bit more about, you know, the struggle to feel grounded and safe in my body, and then with the eyes closed, really tapping into more of like the sensory details of a place and having more of like being able to connect with the more like pleasant and positive experiences, physical experiences. And then the non-dominant hand free writing, kind of like what I wrote was kind of bridging the two about you know, learning how learning how to like from the positive physical experiences, how to, you know, feel more connected and feel more grounded. So I feel like sort of combined together, these three prompts are going to lead to like a one like cohesive piece. I just feel like it was kind of coming at the same thing from a whole bunch of like different angles, and rather than like forcing a through line just kind of like emerged, I think.
Ooh. So it's going to be a tapestry. Eventually you're going to work on revising and editing these, and maybe you'll push them into one piece. Okay, so the next piece I'm going to present is actually a perfect opportunity for what you could turn this into, but we'll get there. We'll get there after this share. So did you want to share a piece, or you just wanted to share the process?
It's
totally up to you if you feel like they're not ready and you don't want to share a piece of it.
It's really rough. I think
don't worry.
Yeah,
no, thank you for sharing your process with us. I really appreciate you, Em. Yeah. All right, so we're gonna move on to Angel. What's going on? Need you to unmute. Yeah.
Hey everyone. Hey Paul. Yeah, the one where I had to write with my left hand because that's my non-dominant hand was really almost like the exact opposite of what Rosalind had written in the chat earlier about how she doesn't like to cross out and doesn't like to make mistakes and she wants to do the flow. I had to do the exact opposite of that when I was writing with my left hand. I had to go so slow in order to make the words legible that I had to focus on every word for a very intense, in a more intense way than I usually do.
Yeah. So for you, it was a hyper focusing instead of a freeing, right? Yeah.
It was hyper, yes, exactly. So I'll share a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't love how they look, but I love how they operate. Short, pale, not able to compare to the best, but I caress them and dress them, even though I can't impress with them. They hold the strength of miles inside muscles, built on stairwells and suburban sidewalks. They penetrate the space between myself and others. They need one another. They work as one. They're lit by the sun. They help me rise and will finally die. There's more, but those were the first two. The last one is they are here's where the intensity. They are invaded by bacteria, making me stationary. That is, what is the criteria for being? Must they be the same as the legs of those who reign? Must they walk and race, climb and chase, or are they always legs?
Woo! I was gonna say after the first one, I'm like, these got to be legs, right? These got to be our walking sticks. But you waited for the
Yay!
That was so phenomenal. Yay!
Yay!
I love when we show don't tell, but then at the end you're like, nah, fuck it, I earned it. I'm gonna tell. Thank you so much for. Appreciate it, Angel.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, now we're gonna get to Amanda, and then Finn is gonna close us out for this sharing portion.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Finn to read. I cannot get over how difficult this was. I can't come up with any other word besides should be. The one that I had to read with my right hand is a rap because that's looking like Chinese. But I'm excited to maybe revisit it in the future and be like, oh, I remember what I was trying to write. Because right now it happened. But I started 2 things that were kind of cool. The first one is a praise poem for the Lower East Side. Shout out to Peggy and JP Howard for teaching me how to write a praise poem. The only hookah shop worth walking into is on First and First. This blindfold of love asks me to surrender everything I thought I knew about lust. Best sleep I've ever gotten was next to you. That's the first one. And the second one, tore apart this black picket fence of my heart, of disconnection from source. This storm force is quiet now. This melody kisses the spine of my third eye. I love how it curves to greet your twisted maple syrup fingers.
That black fence. What a lead-in image. Fire. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. Whew, I'm gonna move to Finn. The phenomenal Finn Bell is gonna close us out, and everybody else can share their stuff in the chat if they would like. I'm sorry we don't have enough time to get to everybody.
Hello.
Hey,
so
hey.
I'm going to share the last one, the non-dominant hand, and I'm going to also share the one where we closed our eyes, and both were difficult because I felt like I couldn't be like my normal perfectionist self and have control over them, but it was also freeing. So first, the last one, the non-dominant hand. Bite into cotton, melokoton. You slip my mind wet. What do you know? I wanted to show you the silver dollars I offered Sharon, softening my tongue. I can feel you slip inside. What did you think you were starting? Pause, pause. I'm Immaculate Conception upon the plinth where you place all your saints when I was once Saint Bernadette, pristine, the smell of rosé et cadavre. Ecstatic flame licked, Teresa de Avila, happy to burn for you. And then the eyes closed, which was also difficult, and probably a lot of typographical errors. I scraped my calves upon the rocks as we climbed them. You didn't pay me mind, body on vacation. Thoughts back stateside, you passed your breath, impatient steam between the grates of your city teeth. Sand inside of my cheek, bitten, swollen. We were the same frustrated tints into shades, into dark. We muddied, start over, fall into the ocean. Back of skull fur, salty brine, drink, insinuating life back into mine. Suckling upon the open wounds on my limbs, stigmata waited. You have to feel something, something, something hurt me through and through, baptize me. I absorb it. It is love, and I drain the Pacific with my thirst.
You know, you wrote all that in this one session. You did all of that. This is, yeah, you're painting. That is a Monet. That's not even a Monet. It's beyond that. But anyway, Finn, that was phenomenal. And thank you for sharing it. The imagery is just lush. Oh man. All right. So we're gonna keep moving, y'all, because we gotta keep moving. We do have a few more prompts and a few more model poems to get through. So this, speaking of what Emily presented, she was like, these are 3 disparate things. I'm not really sure what to do with them. This is an idea to roll with, which is a contrapuntal poem. So a contrapuntal in music is composed of multiple melodies that are independent, but they can be combined and sounded together, right? It's harmony versus cacophony, right? And in the poetic world, contrapuntal poems are poems that intertwine 2 or more separate ideas, poems, drafts, ways a poem can be read into one single composition. So we have some Hanif Abdurraqib, who is one of my favorite living poets, showing a little bit of favoritism. And this piece is called The Ghost of Marvin Gaye Sits in the Ruins of the Old Livingston Flea Market and Considers Monogamy. The way that you can read a contrapuntal is you can read it all the way to the right, all throughout, or you can read it down in columns, or I didn't do anything to this poem. This is the original way this poem is presented and shared in the world. right? So I did not create extra columns like Ron said before. He's like, you made it, you columned it. This is how Hanif intended for this poem to be read by the world. So you could actually do two columns, one. There's literally like 12 ways you could read this poem probably, but we're just gonna read it right and then down, like in columns, right? Would somebody like to volunteer to read it across, like across the line by line, like traditionally? Would somebody like to? Yeah, Miro, I saw your hand go up first.
Sorry, I hope I'm not hogging the mic, but I'm so into this. Okay. First of all, that is one hell of a title. That is amazing. There is no corner of midnight where I ain't a god to somebody, and no one claps at all of the tongue's miracles, but my daddy had a pistol and knew how to beckon a moan from its door with a bent finger, and boy, I'm saying all the men I come from could hunt, and we all got our methods. Mine is blood red, suits and sweat in between piano keys, and a scream that could rock loose anyone's chains, and there ain't no word for this. A murder in reverse, pulling the bullet out slow and letting it dance in the sheets. I'm saying they was already dead by the time I got in the room. I'm saying I most cherish how the headboard whispers under the right rhythm, how it sounds like two ropes lowering a fresh casket into another dark and wet mouth. Jesus. Okay.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh. Does anybody want to raise a hand to pick? I'm gonna go through the chat for favorite lines, but wow, just murder in reverse. Me too, E. Me too. A murder in reverse. Yeah, Amanda pulled that line too. Holy shit. Yeah. And if you know the story behind Marvin Gaye, this is even more tragic, right? Would somebody like to volunteer to read it down through the columns? Well, we already have Angel and Nick have their hands up. I don't think, let's ask Nick to go. I'm sorry, Angel, but you did just get to read last time. So let's ask the cult leader if he would like to read.
Can y'all hear me first?
Ready. Yes, raspy voice and all. You're going to add some theatricality to it.
Let's go. Let's do it. There is no corner at all of the tongues from its door could hunt, and in between there ain't out slow and letting by the time I got whispers under lowering a fresh of midnight miracles, but with a bent. We all got piano keys, no word. It's dance in the room, the right casket where I ain't my daddy had finger, and boy, our methods, and a scream for this in the sheets. I'm saying rhythm into another a god to somebody, a pistol, and knew how I'm saying all the men mine in red blood red that could rock loose a murder in reverse. I'm saying there was I most cherished how it sounds dark and wet, and no one claps to beckon a moan. I come from suits and sweat, anyone's chains, pulling the bullet already dead, how the headboard like two ropes mouth.
Ooh, okay. Well, fuck, that was an experience. What did we think of that? The difference, right? I mean, fuck syntax. Syntax is just out the window for this. It's just images being thrown at us, right? And the connections. A god to somebody, a pistol, like that transition fucking rocked me, right? I come from suits and sweats, anyone's chains, pulling the bullet already dead. Like, it still has so much sonic beauty to it, right? Even if the meaning we have to stretch to make these images fit, it's just another way to write, y'all. Like, contrapuntals are super powerful. If you've never written one or you haven't read many, I really think y'all should dive into them. The comment, it took me like 2 years to write a 2-column contrapuntal. I'm wondering if this took 10 years. That's amazing thing. All right, so we're gonna move on to the next one. This is another piece by Hanif, and it can only be read one way because it's a prose poem. Would somebody like to volunteer to read Welcome to Heartbreak, aka one of my favorite Kanye songs? I saw Terry's hand go up first. Oop. Terry, the floor is yours.
Welcome to Heartbreak. It is the version of me fading into photos that I most wish to dance with, just once before the coughing black makes a ghost of him. No one asks me to smile these days, and so here is my mouth. Again, a straight line, border between an ocean and thirst. I thumb the edges of the picture frame and consider the wood. What tree had to fall in order for this younger and smiling version of myself to have a home? It is the killing season again. All of the flowers drag the crowns of their heads along the snow and die with a prayer of softer ground on their lips. I wish this type of betrayal on no one, being born out of that which will be your undoing. Imagine instead the place where you have a bed of your own and a table to sit across from someone who laughs, thick and echoing at your smallest joy as an open palm, and then the fingers close.
Ooh, thank you, Terry. I think the staggered way you read that really allowed us all to absorb all of these images, all of the things that the body was doing in this poem. Does anybody want to speak on a line or an image that grabbed them? Yes, Elemental.
I don't know why. Maybe I'm just a bit hypersensitive to this, but this to me it really rings like a prison poem. Like someone sitting in an incarcerated space, you know, praying for softer ground, you know what I mean? Praying for things to be just different, you know what I mean? When you think about the photos in which you wish to dance, it just reminds me of someone who can't do anything except live in those spaces. So you end up praying for something like softer ground. It's something so irrelevant to other people, but to me, it just kind of, it just rings of, I'm heartbroken because now I'm caged in, but I'm still thinking of freedom. But I love it. It's dope.
Ooh, yes, it does have that constrained. Yeah. Looking back, right? Super powerful. Thank you for that, E. I think I saw Amanda's hand go up next. Yeah.
I have a fascination with heartbreak poems because I think, like, out of all love poems, heartbreak poems are the kind of poems that, like, oh, you think you know what heartbreak is? This is what heartbreak is. And it does it, every heartbreak poem does so in a different way. But this, I'm gonna like just add to what Elemental said. This speaks to some, not some like breakup shit. This has to be, and maybe it is, but to me, this takes it into a whole deep, like catastrophic type of loss. So I can't even pick a line. The fingers close, like, yeah, I can't even speak. The art of a poet.
There's a reason that Hanif chose to break those three words from the rest of this prose piece. It captures you, right? That's like, it's so much is happening. It's a shutting off of opportunity and potential when the fingers close. It's an open palm and then the hand is clasped into a fist. Like, those are two completely different images. It is open, it is accepting, it is embracing, and then it is a weapon. Whew. Okay, Abraham, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to cut us off after this to move on to a prompt.
Hey, Paul, can you hear me?
Yeah, perfect.
Paul, can you? Cool. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
these two lines. I love these two lines here that they kind of like play into one another. No one asks me to smile these days, and so here is my mouth. Again, a straight line, border between the ocean and thirst. I just love how, like, you know, maybe I guess heartbreak, but that feeling of like of wanting something, but also seeing it in abundance. You know, that's where, like, I immediately thought, but also too that visual of here's my mouth, a line. You know what I mean? Like, it almost paints a picture of like behind my mouth is the thirst, but in front of me is the ocean. You know what I mean? It just like my mouth is the line in the sand type of thing. I just thought it's just something that just kind of
Mouth as a border, you know, thinking of the mouth as a border is so interesting too, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, I know. I just thought it just really stuck with me. Like, oh, okay, I see where this is going.
It was no, that's that's beautiful. And it's neither a frown nor a smile, right? It's a straight line. So I love you honing in on that image. Abe, thank you for that contribution. Also, I'm dying at in the chat. Mira was talking about her neighbors playing Gangnam Style. I'm sorry. This is how I facilitate. I just notice ridiculous. Good transition. Good transition. We're gonna free write. This time I'm gonna give you all a whole 6 minutes. So I want us to stick with the sensory body imagery, but I want you to meditate on a past version of yourself or someone you love deeply. This can be somebody you know personally. It could be somebody you've never met, but you stand them, right? It can be a public historical figure. It could be a loved one you lost. It could be someone you've never met. It could be a former lover. It can be yourself, right? The challenge is you can either make a really rough attempt at a contrapuntal, break your poem apart, see how many ways you could see it, or find an old picture of yourself and then write about this moment. Write about yourself at this moment. Do what Hanif was doing in that, looking at an old photo, right? Either literally dig through your room, go get a photo. We all got them in our phone. We all got our memories, right? So either rummage through those memories or be experimental. And remember, don't worry, it's a zero draft. Y'all have a whole extra 2 minutes for this. So we will reconvene at 2:33. All right, let's get to it. Could also be an opportunity to process loss, whether that person is dead or not. It could be somebody who's just no longer in your life. So that's another way to think about that grief. 3 more minutes. We're halfway through. Are y'all about a 30-second warning? I love the fact that before anything has even happened, cult leader has raised his hand. He's preempting, like, I don't care what happens, I'm gonna be hurt. I love it. All right, y'all. It is 2:33. I would like us to put down our pen, whatever line we're on. You know, we weren't gonna share just yet, but I'll let Nick. I will let Nick just vent his and get it out there. We're gonna hold back a little bit on the whole class.
wait,
No,
though.
but go. I'm gonna trust your intuition, and I want you to read.
All right, so this one was interesting because I actually like this one a lot. So I wrote about Kurt Cobain. So here we go. I'm gonna read it across though, just to make things easier. Kurt Cobain was in bloom from negative creep, was smelling the roses of a heart-shaped boxing like team spirit, breaking norms of penny royalty, finding nirvana, bringing 2 others into the fold, coming as he was to burn out the creative was as they were to iconically be the best until the end. That's just across.
Heart-shaped boxing like teen spirit. You wrote an acrostic in this time?
Yeah, I wrote this as
you
an
combined.
acrostic.
Oh, that was holy fuck. That was fun. I mean, I want to implore you to share that like everywhere we possibly can. I mean, like if it was on your, can you hold it up to the screen? Is it in your notebook or is it on the device?
Yeah, it's on the notebook. I don't know if y'all can see it. Hang on, wait. Let me drop the.
It's hard to see.
Let me drop the screen.
It's okay. It's okay. Maybe in the event page, you could share it later on in the Facebook event page. That is amazing though, Nick. You already have something powerful and potent there. So thank you for sharing, brother. I'm glad we trusted your instinct on that. Holy shit. All right. We're gonna move on to what's next? Some self-portraits. Some of y'all maybe already did a self-portrait, but we're really gonna move towards a couple of self-portraits very quickly. We're gonna read these. We don't need to do a ton of unpacking. Would somebody like to volunteer to read Self-Portrait with No Flag by Safia Elio? Okay, let me look at my participants to see whose hand shot up. Angel's hand shot up first. I feel bad because Miss Sepulveda keeps raising her hand too, just missing it by a second. We got you on the next one, Miss Sepulveda. So Angel, can you unmute?
Hey, can you hear me?
Perfect.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay. Self-portrait with no flag. I pledge allegiance to my homies, to my mother's small and cool palms, to the gap between my brother's two front teeth, and to my grandmother's good brown hands, good strong brown hands, gathering my bare feet in her lap. I pledge allegiance to the group text. I pledge allegiance to laughter and to all the boys I have a crush on. I pledge allegiance to my spearmint plant, to my split ends, to my grandfather's brain and gray left eye. I come from two failed countries and I give them back. I pledge allegiance to no land, no border cut by force to draw blood. I pledge allegiance to no government, no collection of white men carving up the map with their pens. I choose the table at the Waffle House with all my loved ones crowded into the booth. I choose the shining dark of our faces through a thin sheet of smoke, glowing dark of our faces slick under layers of sweat. I choose the world we make with our living, refusing to be unmade by what surrounds us. I choose us gathered at the lakeside, the light glinting off the water and our laughing teeth. And along the living dark of our hair, and this is my only country.
Really potent read. Really potent read. Thank you so much, Angel. Who? So who would anybody like to speak on this before we move on to another self-portrait? And I will ask, there's a few hands up. I'm gonna ask anybody with a new hand to raise. Unmuted myself. All right, Emily.
Yeah, it sort of makes me think about what you said about, you know, our bodies being our homes and our bodies being our own countries and containing all the experiences that we and our ancestors have lived. So that this is a really beautiful articulation of that.
Yeah. Yeah, no flag because we don't need a flag. The body carries, you know, body carries the culture. It's a beautiful way of putting that. Did Amanda or Miss Sepulveda, did y'all want to speak on this piece? I know your hands are both up to read, but did either of y'all want to speak on this? All right, if not, I think we'll move on to the next one. It's another self-portrait. This is self-portrait as Slinky. So this one is a concrete poem. If y'all have ever read a concrete poem, they're very fun. Miss Sepulveda, your hand is already up. I wanted to get to you last time. Would you like to read? Let me ask you to unmute.
Yes.
Would you
Can you hear me?
like the challenge? Perfectly.
Okay, self-portrait as Slinky. It's true, I wanted to be beautiful before, authentic. Say the word, exotic. Say minority. A coiled dark curl. A finger might wrap itself in the long staircase. And I was the momentum of metal springs descending down and down. Say tension. The long staircase. And I was stacked series of fears finger-tipped again into motion. Say, taught like a child who must please her parents but doesn't know how. A curl. Pulled, thin. I want there to be a reckoning, to gather into each day's pale hands, that helpless. Lurching forward in the dark, another soap black ringlet, that sudden halting.
Thank you for that read, Miss Sepulveda. Did you want to offer any commentary on this piece as you read it? How did you feel reading the piece in the structure that it's in?
It was difficult to get the imagery transition from one to another. But then it became clear.
Do you think maybe the poet did that on purpose? Like they made the transitions between stanzas a little bit jarring purposely?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we've all played with a Slinky before, right?
Yeah.
So do we think that describing ourselves as a Slinky, what kind of message does that send to us? Like, It's so interesting.
I don't know. I feel the connection of being pulled and pushed at the same time causes a reaction.
Absolutely. It's two opposing forces, right? When you pull on a slinky is naturally like, you know, compressed, and then when you pull it, what happens? You know?
Yep, it lets loose.
Yeah, you hope it lets loose. Sometimes you break it, you bend it. When you bend that slinky, it's forever fucking ruined. Any of us who've owned a slinky, as soon as you get a curl and a twist, you're like, oh, this is useless now. This is a paperweight. But anyway, thank you so much for that read. I really appreciate it. That was beautifully done. Yeah, the levels of taught. Let's go to Diane. Diane, what do you have to add to this?
Yeah, I saw it as Tarfia had her head like on a slinky, and that was her body. And like you said, when you play with a slinky, she described it. The long staircase. I mean, you know what it's like to put a slinky down some stairs, right? It just keeps bobbing down, 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 tumbling, tumbling, tumbling. The momentum of metal springs descending down and down, say tension. I mean, she was describing herself as a slinky, and she was the top of that, the middle, getting banged up, whatever. Soaked black ringlet, that sudden halting, right? You control the slinky, but you can also let it ride. So I thought that was a wonderful piece. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's so interesting the way that the poem ends. It ends on an M dash, right? It ends on a double dash, which is usually a continuation. You're like, well, how do you end a poem grammatically on continuation? It's because what happens when a slinky gets to the end? We carry it back up and we do the whole thing all over again. Sometimes cycles of people projecting societal views, you know, on people, of beauty, of being a good daughter, you know, being a minority, whatever it is, the cycle repeats. The cycle just keeps going. It's not like you get pushed down those stairs once and that's it. You know, it's gonna be a series. I was a stacked series of spheres fingertipped again into motion, right? Taught, and y'all saw the double use of taught right there too. So we're gonna move on from this piece. We're gonna do another free write exercise. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get to everything unless y'all want to stay into overtime a little bit past 3, because I do have 7 total exercises, but we might just end at 6. So this one for write your own self-portrait, right? You might have done that in the last one if you chose a photo, but that was past you. Choose yourself at this moment, write your own self-portrait, and try and choose your representation, your extended metaphor. Either choose it as an object or like Safia did, with no object, like reject what you think other people will symbolize you as, right? And even in Tarfia's, people wanted to symbolize her as exotic, minority, right? Like, do you want to take that image and then rip it away from society's grasp? The challenge for this one would be to write a concrete poem in the shape of said object that you either choose or reject, right? So a concrete poem, for those of y'all who don't know, concrete poetry attempts to have the text itself fit the actual shape or form of what it's describing. So if you want to, you know, put yourself in a heart-shaped box or in a box itself, right? You could, you know, self-portrait breaking the box, right? And then you could write your text as a prose piece within a box to break out of those spaces, or have a box and an open edge. So yeah, try and channel a little bit of what Tarfia did there. We're gonna come together at 2:50. We got 6 minutes, all right? Doesn't have to be concrete, but that's 3 more minutes. Wishing you all luck. All right, poets, 30-second warning. Whew. All right, let's bring it on in. How did we feel about this piece? We are going to move on. We're not going to share quite yet. We're going to have a sharing session in just a few. So I hope that this was a fruitful one. I hope you all exploring your identity. I hope you exploring doing a self-portraits are hard because you really do have to look at yourself, right? Like unless you plan on doing a caricature of yourself, we really have to take a realistic look at ourselves. And that's difficult when we're trying to represent ourselves to an object, because then it does become a caricature, right? We're trying to make ourselves a metaphor or representation. Pinky, yes, I will unmute because I'm trusting your instinct in this moment. What's going on? Hello? Okay, we're gonna move on. So, getting that sensor. Yeah, I drew a pear. Oh, that's awesome. Y'all did some amazing things. The concrete, did any of us choose concrete objects to represent ourselves and try and have the poem move toward that? Dominique?
Oh, actually, I wanted to read the next poem.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. Let's move on.
That.
We're gonna have time. No, don't apologize. We're gonna have time to share. We need to move along because we are scheduled to end this workshop in about 9 minutes. But if any of y'all want to stick around for overtime, I will hang out a little bit extra. So we are gonna read this next piece, which is Someday I'll Love Ocean Vuong. So Dominique, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Someday I'll love Ocean Vuong. Ocean, don't be afraid. The end of the road is so far ahead. It is already behind us. Don't worry. Your father is only your father until one of you forgets. Like how the spine won't remember its wings, no matter how many times our knees kiss the pavement. Ocean, are you listening? The most beautiful part of your body is wherever your mother's shadow falls. Here's the house with childhood whittled down to a single red trip wire. Don't worry, just call it horizon, and you'll never reach it. Here's today, jump. I promise it's not a lifeboat. Here's the man whose arms are wide enough to gather your leaving. And hear the moment, just after the lights go out, when you can still see the faint torch between his legs, how you use it again and again to find your own hands. You asked for a second chance and are given a mouth to empty out of. Don't be afraid. The gunfire is only the sound of people trying to live a little longer and failing. Ocean. Ocean, get up. The most beautiful part of your body is where it's headed. And remember, loneliness is still time spent with the world. Here's the room with everyone in it. Your dead friends passing through you like wind through a wind chime. Here's a desk with the gimp leg and a brick to make it last. Yes, here's a room so warm and blood close. I swear you will wake and mistake these walls for your skin.
Powerful read, Dominique. Thank you so much for being quick on the trigger for that one. Did you want to chime in on this piece at all?
Yeah, just the imagery, like I could just clearly see, like I did see the ocean, but I also saw, like, especially in the second part or the second column of the poem, just, yeah, like the dead friends passing through you like a wind chime, just the spiritual elements. Like I could just see, like, just, you know, the time passing, like past, present, and future, just how they broke it down. And then like taking it to, here's a desk with the gimp leg and a brick to make it last, like the foundation, you know, of this person just kind of holding on to their friends, like kind of like I got the vision, like they were kind of holding on to their friends, like the weight of them just holding on, like it's like it kind of, it breaks them in a way, you know, holding on to that memory instead of just letting, you know, that memory like stay with them, but just let it, you know, flow through them. So yeah, that's kind of like what I got from it.
Absolutely. This is a trying to remember poem, and it's a self-portrait, but it's also, it's like a, well, it's not a self-portrait, but it's an address to himself, but it's also exploring so much loss, right? Don't be afraid. The gunfire is only the sound of people trying to live a little longer and failing. Heavy. That is very heavy. Loneliness is still time spent with the world. Like, oh, Angel pointed out a beautiful line. The most beautiful part of your body is where it's headed, right? And Kemlin said, yeah, person wrestling with the loss of war, the tripwire image. So much beautiful personification, so much physical imagery given to inanimate things, right? Like the desk with a gimp leg. How many of us have ever described a desk that way, right? Like that's just so, that's using body poetry to explain inanimate or, you know, non-human things. Yeah, I swear you will wake and mistake these walls for skin. Like, holy shit. All right. I think we're gonna read one more piece and then get to a free write. Or actually, it's not one piece. It's a couple of pieces paired. It is a pairing. Would somebody like to read this shortish piece? Yes, Finn. We gotta circle back around to Finn because she asked later, and then I will ask Poetak to read the next one because I see my brother Poetak with his hand raised. Finn.
I had to read this.
Please give us some Audrey.
I was hoping to read this because this is my favorite Audrey.
Yes.
Recreation by Audre Lorde. Coming together, it is easier to work after our bodies meet. Paper and pen, neither care nor profit whether we write or not. But as your body moves under my hand, charged and waiting, we cut the leash. You create me against your thighs, hilly with images. Moving through our word countries, my body writes into your flesh the poem you make of me. Touching you, I catch midnight as moonfires set in my throat. I love you, flesh into blossom. I made you, and take you made into me.
Oh, a gorgeous poem. A gorgeous poem read by a gorgeous voice and a gorgeous soul. All right. So, did you want to speak on any lines in this piece? And what do we think the title is? Do we think it's recreation or recreation? Because it is a double-edged sword. It could be either, right? So, did you want to weigh in, Finn? I'll ask you to unmute if you want. If I mean, Audrey is your favorite. Did you want to speak on that?
Yes, I thought about the recreation and the recreation, and I liked how it teased both of those possibilities as a title, because when you're, I think when you're contemplating and just admiring a lover's body and you're reclined, so I was thinking it's a sort of recreation in a way, just spending a lazy afternoon just adoring them. So yeah, so both work. I like to think in my mind it is a sort of kind of vigorous or not so vigorous recreation that follows or precedes, so
Yeah, and sometimes in that recreation, we recreate whatever image of creation. Yeah, it's beautiful. M threw in there, or maybe it's just creation from Hedwig. We are gonna have another short-ish Audrey piece called Love Poem. If Poetak would like to read this piece all the way from Japan, I did see his hand up, and I want to give him the chance if he's willing. Poetak.
Hey, thank you.
Would you
Love Poem.
Would you like to give it a shot?
Yeah. Love Poem by Audre Lorde. Speak, earth, and bless me with what its riches make. Sky flow honey out of my hips, rigid as mountains. Spread over a valley, curved out by the mouth of rain. And I knew when I entered her, I was high wind in her forest hollow. Fingers whispering sound, honey flowed from the split cup, impaled on a lance of tongues, on the tips of her breast, on her navel, and my breath, hauling into her entrances through lungs of pain, greedy as hearing goes, or a child, I swing it out over the earth, over and over again.
Whew.
Thank you.
Poetak, that was a gorgeous, beautiful reading. Thank you for blessing us with that. Yeah, that was so beautifully read. I felt all that emotion conveyed. Does anybody want to speak on either of these pieces? I know we are coming. It is 3 o'clock exactly. So if anybody has to leave at 3, if we're absolutely pressed for time, I want to respect everybody's time. We did have one more free writing exercise, and then I was going to share. Kemlyn wants to weigh in.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kimlin. Audrey's just so sensual in her approach to self-description. Both talk about the physicality of the embodiment of what being a woman is. The first is one that is a little bit more removed. But boy, the second one just seems to just draw me right into the visceral and the raw, where she asks and begs for the earth to bless her as this earthy person. And it's painful. I mean, howling through her entrances through lungs of pain, greedy as herring gulls or a child. And she wants it over and over again, which is so empowering because I'm like, my God, I'm on the journey where I'm learning about myself. All right,
yeah.
I'm done.
No, it's a beautiful journey. You don't have to cut yourself off. I mean, it's a beautiful, black queer woman love. Like this is primal and beautiful. The first one seems, yeah. I'm not gonna over pontificate on this. I'm gonna let Amanda talk on these pieces.
What can I say about the queen? feel like with Audrey, it's similar to Rumi. Like, I don't know if he's talking about a lover, if he's talking about God, if he's talking about himself. So this second piece, the love poem, it almost reads as like an ode to self, but also not really. And then the first one, that line, I made you, like, oh, power. I think the love of a Black woman, in my humble opinion, is like no other. It is the root of the earth. So yeah, I think that she puts this into words in ways that no one else can.
I think that's a beautiful way to say that. Yeah, because that is, if it's the root of all creation, then yeah, Black woman love is recreating, it's replenishing, you know, life and source and essence. Yeah, so that was really beautifully stated, and I appreciate it. Shit. All right, so I know a few folks have to leave. If y'all feel called to stay, I would love if y'all would stay. Those who can't though, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your presence. Hopefully you came away with something really meaningful and beautiful and purposeful you can roll into future work. Those of us who are staying are going to do one last free write, and then a little bit of share time, and we'll end on that share time today. The seventh assignment, I'm gonna just work into a future workshop. That's what I'm gonna do. I gave y'all way too much work, so it's in my nature. So free write exercise, our last one, right? Write your own love poem, or someday I'll love poem to yourself or your body. Go the ocean route, go the Audrey route. And this can also include your love poem to yourself, can include a lover, it can include God, it can include whatever your interpretation of love is, right? The challenge in this one is to include a constant refrain to yourself, your name, like Ocean did, or a nickname, or include the words, the poem you make of me. All right? And we got 4 minutes for this one. This is a little bit like the earlier ones. We're gonna rapid fire through this. Write your own love poem, or your someday I'll love poem to yourself, your body, or whatever. About another minute, y'all. Remember, this is a seed. It doesn't have to be the entire tree we're putting out into the atmosphere today. We're just planting the seed for this love poem, or someday I'll love poem. right, so about another 30 seconds, but while we're in this meantime, I wanted to give shouts out to a few people in the room. I wanted to thank Chris Lopez for helping us produce and run this whole workshop. As always, Chris is just clutch and invaluable and a huge part of the Nuyorican team and the Nuyorican in general for trusting me with this workshop space. So I wanted to say thank you to, Dan and Jason and everybody at the Nuyo, Olivia, present, past, future, Emily. I'm gonna still include Emily in that forever. But yeah, so I wanted to say thank you to those folks and Advocate and Bruja for the advice that they gave me before teaching today. I wanted to give shouts to everybody who didn't unmute today but is in the room. So Andrew, who I've seen in the room, April, who has messaged me and is going to lead our share session. To Ed Foreman, who is here multitasking today, our poetastic brother, the fireman, fireman. Emma SB. I believe we've met or shared space before, but thank you, Emma, for your words and your kind words today. James Ducott, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that correctly. Marie, just like Madonna, just one name. That's all she needs. And probably you already spoke, Beowulf. I mean, you always get my attention and love. Tanish is in the room. I can't wait to hear what Tanish has produced today in future Nuyo events. Tara Lee, I appreciate you for coming and holding space today. Tiffany, Michelle, Yennefer, someone who has Japanese characters, and I'm assuming you're one of Poetak's friends from Japan. So if I could read your name and pronounce it, I would, but I honor you. And Catherine, thank you everybody, and those who have taken up space today. I thank you for holding the space with me, with us, for honoring our bodies, for honoring our senses, our souls, our existence, and for the powerful work that y'all have shared. Norm, Nick, Amanda, Finn, Diane, everybody who has brought something to the forefront, either in your commentary, in your work. I really appreciate and value y'all so much. You have made this workshop really easy for me. So yeah, I'm gonna run this back sometime soon, All right, so it's share time, y'all. Why don't we hopefully, whether it's this prompt, if it's any of the last two prompts, because we haven't shared in quite a bit, and I'm gonna go with whatever order I see folks raise their hand in after April, because April has been waiting. So I am gonna get to April and then Jennifer, and we're gonna get through as many people as we can. If you have to leave, you could dip. But I want to hold space for as many people as who want to share, because it's really important when, I'm sorry, Norm, I didn't mean to hit unmute on you yet. I'm trying to locate April. All right, so I'm gonna stop this share so I can see all your beautiful faces at once, right? So where are we at? Oh, here we go. April.
Hey.
Finally.
Oh, yeah. I actually took a little time to go back with a previous poem, the contrapuntal, like past self, past person, and I think it works well for this prompt too. Can I read it both ways?
Absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
I appreciate it. So this is what it looks like. So it's like two columns, and I'm going to start by reading it down, and then I'm going to read it across. And yeah, that's all. No more explanation. All right. Rolls of belly baked me from the yeast of her need to feel the walls of flesh near her nipple. Our bones told on us. She left the river, I insist, but quartz tumbles her too. Kiss each tip of her braids, reaching thimbleberry her leaf of smooth fuzz, the mead she made of ox-eye daisies, salmon berries, and I think it was honeysuckle. Once corked, it will be 3 years before we drink it. The taste of me on her fingers, picking berries, yeast added to yeast.
Ooh, ooh. That was enrapturing. I can't wait to hear the other way it's read. Okay, so the floor is still yours.
Yeah. So now I'm gonna read it like across And yeah, I would like to ask like one question, just like pose a question at the very end, just to kind of see
Okay,
how it lands.
perfect.
Okay. Rolls of belly kiss each tip, baked me of her braids from the yeast, reaching thimble of her need, bury her leaf. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Of her need, bury her leaf, to feel the walls of smooth fuzz of flesh near the mead, her nipple made of ox-eyed daisies, our bones told salmon berries and honeysuckle on us. She once corked it, will left the river be 3 years before I insist, but we drink it. The quartz tumbles, taste of me on her too, her yeast added to yeast.
Everybody can unmute if you want to during this last share session.
Damn, that was just cerebral in both directions. Like that was just
Beautiful. Of her knee. What? Just amazing.
Incredible. And fucking incredible. Pardon my French. Oh my God.
It's crazy that you produced that in only like 6 minutes. Like, just wow. Oh, phenomenal. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you to unmute one real quick. Yeah, I got you. April, if you wanted to talk on it. Sorry, this Zoomiverse is awkward sometimes.
Yeah, thanks Paul for getting me into my body before I wrote this, and the amazing prompt, so thanks to you for co-inspiring this poem. Yeah, I want to hear if people thought it was like one person or two separate people, because I actually took each column and wrote about one person with one column and another person with another column. And so it's like experimenting with like how they're different and how they're similar in my life. And I don't know if I want them to come across as two people or as one person. Like I'm still playing with that in my head.
So yeah, I'm gonna ask all to unmute, and whoever wants to speak on it can. Whoever wants to weigh in and let April know if it sounds like two separate voices or it does have more of a cohesion. Because I think with a contrapuntal, it could be a little bit of both. Yeah, I see the maestro holding up hands. Yeah, go ahead. Think of that space, Amanda. Go ahead.
Me?
Well, whoever wanted to unmute and talk about answer the question for April, right? I see Maestro has his hands. I'm asking whoever wants, because I have the sharing list up next, but I just wanted to answer April's question. To me, it did feel like two different voices when I heard it read through. The first time it felt like a mother, and then the second one felt like it could have been it was somebody speaking to their mother. Then the second felt like it could have been them speaking to their partner. It felt like somebody very close to the creation, and then it felt like somebody involved or a party to the creation, but not the creator or the created. So that was at least my interpretation on a cold read through. But yeah, go ahead.
It reminded me of a manga in a sense, where if you read through it the front way, it's one thing, but then when you flip it and you read it the other way, it's something else. You know what I mean? It just kind of it's the same story, right? But just told from different angles. And I just truly appreciate that, because it works so cohesive. If you really, really weren't paying attention to it, you really would have thought it was the same person, right? But it was the turn. Again, when you flip it the other way and you read it backwards, then it makes absolute sense. So I definitely appreciate that.
Pulled a Missy Elliott. She put her thing down, flipped it, and reversed it. Yeah. All right. So, did you want to go?
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, just differently. I think for me, it reads as the same person, but it reads as completely different perspectives. I know that I've written poems to myself, from myself, and the conversations sound like they're two totally different people, and it's just me talking to myself. So I think that there's power here, because you having to ask us what do we think just shows that it's so wicked that you don't know. For me, it's one person. Someone else could be like, nah, sis, this is two totally different conversations. But I think you're so skilled that no one, it's up to interpretation.
Absolutely. Miro, did you want to speak on it? I see Miro, Catherine, both unmuted. Did you want to weigh in on the two perspectives question, or we just chilling?
I mean, I'm just chilling. But for me, the yeast and the need, I mean, that just spoke to like a, you know, like a mother figure, and I was really blown away by that line. So
yeah, just a gorgeous image, and the way that it got repurposed in both poems. You know, it circled back and it took on a different form. So yeah, just really gorgeous. Once again, I'm so proud that these things are being created in the confines of this space. Like, I couldn't be more honored. Catherine, did you want to weigh in, or you just kind of like unmuted because I asked you to unmute, because that happened? All right, so I'm gonna move on to the next reader, I guess. So this is my order. Yennefer is next up.
Thank you. I am super nervous because that's going to be really hard to follow, and I feel really humbled to be in this group right now, but I'm trying to be brave. This is a very short poem, which I actually just translated also, because I'm not sure if people speak Spanish here, but it's in Spanish, the first part. Quisiera ser una semilla, arropada en tierra mojada, con olor a lluvia y sol, con sabor a miel. Quisiera que los pies se me convirtieran en raíces, para quedarme aquí, hasta formar parte del paisaje, y llegar a sentir lo que es pertenecer, para aprender lo que es un hogar más allá de las paredes. So that's the Spanish version. I just decided to translate it in case people don't understand. I wish it was a seed, blanketed in wet earth, with the smell of sun and rain, with the taste of honey. I wish that my feet could become roots, so that I could stay here and become part of the horizon, in order to feel like I belong, in order to learn what a home is beyond its walls. Thank you.
Ooh, whoever wants to give love to that poem.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful.
Yeah, I don't know which
in
one
English
is more
and in
cerebral, the
Spanish.
Spanish or the English.
Both of them were. You said it perfectly. Both of them.
Beautiful.
Both versions of the poem
awesome.
That's right.
That's incredible. Absolutely. It's very difficult. No, it's very difficult to kind of make like both languages. Like, you write a poem in one language and then you try to do it in another language. It doesn't always come out the same, but she did a great job of that. Oh
yeah,
man.
baby.
It's so hard to carry over the sonic beauty from one language to another because they have such different properties, but you really captured it. And like, anybody else want to weigh in?
I think that
Norm is just
how talented she is as a writer in both languages. I've heard her work in English and in Spanish, and it smacks every fucking time. Even when she translated, I'm just like,
yeah. The only thing I want to comment on is next time you come into a space, you don't have to preface it with you not feeling like you can occupy that space, or there's a level of not worthiness or following anybody because you fucking knocked it out of the goddamn room, like out of the Zoomosphere. Like, that was phenomenal. So thank you for blessing us with that piece, and don't doubt yourself, for real.
From now on, Yennefer, remind yourself that you need them nerves. Your nerves, the things that make your palms sweat and that you've been given voice to, lean into it and holla. You know, we just bring our rain gear and you spit all over. Dale, dale, dale. Great job. Wonderful.
The nerves remind us we're doing something worth risk, and that is scary, and it's good to do the scary thing, right? So the nerves they're good. They're there for a reason. Ooh, good transition here. I'm going to move on to the maestro next. Do you want to share any of your pieces?
I'm up. Oh yes, absolutely. This Paul con queso está derritiendo aquí todo nosotros, okay? So the self-portrait concrete poem, it was very, very challenging to choose something that I haven't written about, meaning, you know, a physical thing. So I'm going where we go where as poets. The point I'm trying to make is where two lines of thinking cross, and you become the point where ideas meet, get understood, shared with someone from a different point of view, to reduce the variables and tangents, arriving at the goal of empathy and self-love for all strangers. From before, always becoming compassionate family, sharing one love. So that was my concrete poem. And then,
right?
yeah, and then this other piece about the, I guess this is another concrete poem, the poem you make of me. The morning you wake to yourself will not be a sun-risen day. The sky will be red, light seen through blood-filled lids. Generations of ancestors sing my name like a mantra that holds my vibration tight and loose, shapes shifting on the flow of breath.
I'm gonna ask everybody to unmute to show the proper love to the maestro.
Yes, maestro.
Mathematics.
I love that. That was
Thank
fabulous.
you. As you would say, thank you for sharing.
Man, always.
Just, oh, that last line. Oh my God.
Shape-shifting on the flow of breath it was?
Yeah.
Yes.
So gorgeous.
It's
I heard it
almost
as
like
flow, but
black
also
calculus can solve the equations of the universe, man.
You know the math I'm talking about.
Just
Can
so
we hear
gorgeous.
that line about the red, the eyes and the red? I need that again.
The
Can
red
you
through
hear
the
that?
eyelids. Because it's so beautiful. When you close your eyes in extreme sunlight, you can still see through your eyelids. It's like, it's trippy. So beautiful. That poem was like looking directly into sunlight, but not getting damaged. All right, so I'm gonna.
Dude, that's a.
Oh no, I cut proper. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Dude, write that shit down. That's a poem right there. Whatever you just said. Like, you're recording this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Go back to that, because that sentence you just said
Staring
is a
directly
poem
at the
in
sun and
itself,
not
man.
getting blinded. Yeah. I mean, that's what sharing the space with y'all is, that because I'm looking at a lot of centers. I'm looking at a lot of burning star systems. I don't know. Y'all are fucking magic.
There you go. Dude.
This has been great. Oh, I keep muting him at the wrong time. I'm sorry, Prop. Go
There's
ahead.
our new collab piece right there, man. That's
Let's
a collab
go.
piece waiting to happen.
Let's get it. Staring at the sun. Whew. All right. So the list, I already put the list in the chat unless anybody else wants to jump on the wagon. Amanda is going to read next.
Gotta follow Yennefer? That's hard. Okay, I'm kidding. I combined some of the prompts. So it starts off as the perspective of a kid. I wrote to my inner child. I have a picture of her because she's mad cute. Hey. Okay. For one day, or for the rest of them, let's paint our own universe. I'll tell my mom I'm working on a school project, and your dad won't care where you are. So let's just go, please. No rules, no phones, just dreams and poetry. The fondest face of a peach, so sweet, but now with sour meaning. The sexiest slit in your eyes burns slow, like sunrise with no sunscreen, and a blue bag of cool aloe gel as a form of forgiveness. I knew I wasn't the only princess, but in this story, everyone eats. In this story, I love all bodies, even when the poem you make of me makes her ears bleed.
I'm going to ask everybody to unmute, show that poem proper love.
Yeah.
I love
goddess,
all
storm
bodies.
goddess. Right there.
Amanda, you
Say that
need to
again.
stop.
I love all bodies, even when what?
Even when the poem you make of me makes her ears bleed.
That's the line
Holy
right there.
fucking shit.
There's the prompt thrown in casually. you know, patchworked into masterpiece. Great. Fuck yeah. Y'all just creating heat. Y'all just creating a lot of heat in this room. There is a few suns existing in this space. All right. So thank you for that read, Amanda. Shit. All right, I'm gonna mute all of y'all and go on to our cult leader coming up next. He's gonna teach us about the cult of the body.
Cult of the body. All right. So I know you all heard my acrostic one. I want to share just this one because I have to get going. I'm gonna share the shorter one that I did. I did the last one is someday I'll love myself once. Here we go. Someday I'll love myself 7 days a week. There will come a time where this will be permanent. I'll love my imperfections. I'll flow without a care. I will learn how to be a true empath and imprint my work to be as heroic as I can be. My spirit won't shoot bullets. My charisma will be flames of passion. And someday you will see the truest definition of me.
Yes. My spirit.
That was dope. Incredible.
So I know I came to the party late, like both at this workshop and at the New Yo in general, but watching everyone here evolve and grow over the last 6 months or however long I've been in, like, you guys are already amazing, and every day you're even more amazing. And like, love and hope is created because of, it's amazing. I don't know. I'm repeating myself.
Propaganda, you gotta stop because I'm already very emotional right now. So you need to stop talking because.
No, it's true though. That's a big cosign. That's a big cosign because I've seen so many people come into the community and just grow and blossom and.
Sorry.
No, I mean Miro, you're chief amongst them. You know, Nick too. I mean, just so I'm just always gonna praise y'all and the growth.
You too, bro. But don't leave yourself out, fam. What's up?
It's not about me, but thank you. I respect that. I appreciate that, and I reflect that. Back
My
to you.
spirit will not shoot bullets. Is that what was that line, Nick?
My spirit won't shoot bullets.
Dude, fucking A, dude. Like, I'm humbled every time all of y'all open your mouths, man. Shit.
And so many perspectives, so many various, like we all had the same prompts, but ain't nobody. Yeah, it's been wild. All right, so I'm gonna hit the mute real quick so we can welcome our next reader for the series. Miro is gonna share her extra emotional musings.
Oh, Paul.
You got this. We love you.
So I'm gonna do number 4. I attempted to do a contrapuntal. So it's like hyper rough. I'll read it across first because it makes the most sense, and then down. So this was like the past version. And I feel like I've sort of revisited this past version like maybe 2 or 3 times in my life so far. And I don't want to revisit it again. My long hair stifled my neck, and I grew hot, self-conscious, sweating under the bright lights of my perception, what I should be doing, struggling with my place and where I am, choking on strands split at the ends of fork in the road. Lights grow brighter, heat intensifies, and I remain stuck, unsure, parched. So now I'll try to read it like in the columns. And okay. My long hair grew hot under the perception, struggling with choking on strands. Lights grow brighter, stuck, stifled my neck, self-conscious, bright lights, what I should be, my place, split at the ends, heat intensifies, unsure, and I sweating of my doing and where I am, a fork in the road, and I remain parched. So.
Ah, damn.
Oh, shit, Miro.
Wow.
God
Miro.
dang.
Oh my goodness.
That was
Wow.
amazing.
That first version was amazing, but that second version fucked me
Yeah,
up.
that could hit. Oh
Yes.
my goodness. Oh, those
Fucked me up.
Miro reads books, and Miro also breaks eternity. Yeah.
Hey, Miro breaks. I like that.
You
That
are
hair caught.
Amanda. Thank you. That's really
That hair
good.
caught and choking, like it was so. Oh, it came for the jugular. Like, oh,
I will
man.
never again question when someone cuts their hair. I'm a long hair person, but never again will I question that.
Yeah, I've struggled with that, like, because I've had very, very long hair for a long time, and I've cut it short several times over the years, and like that's where it has to be, like short. It has to be there.
The shedding, the rebirth. You got to cut the dead to bring new growth. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, talk about a beautiful body metaphor, right? Like you have just wound up, rebirth, recreation, bringing back to Audrey.
And
But
I
yeah.
love using hair as part of the body metaphor because hair is such a relevant part of so many cultures, and it's such a it's a fashion statement, it's an ego boost, it's a personality trait. It's in Native American cultures, our hair is the connection to the Great Spirit. That's why we only cut it when we're in mourning. But like it means so many things. And hair is like facial hair and hair on your head is like the first thing people notice. Like so recognizable. And when someone cuts their hair, it's like you're a different person. And and everyone knows it immediately. Like you can grow and become a new person and people don't know that. You cut your hair, people see it immediately. So that's when we're in a workshop about body metaphors, what a perfect direction to go. Perfect.
Absolutely. Yeah. When people need to make a big change, you go through a breakup, you go through a breakdown. What do? You have to physically shift.
She cut her hair, she's never talking to you again, dude. That's how it works.
Or she dyes it. She's like, all right, new color, new me, right? But yeah, it's so beautiful. And talking of the literal tying of roots, right? Our hairs are bound by the root. We are bound to the earth by our root, and talking about that ancestral tie, and us we've talked about seeds and roots and all of these things. And we had the coil of hair in Tarfia Fizula's poem that bound us to the slinky, right? Like y'all are just picking up on these common threads and weaving them fucking seamlessly into your work today. Like, I'm embarrassed.
Like y'all are poets and shit.
I mean, it's like some dope poets.
Not me.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm just a listener.
No discrediting.
Come on now, Thomas
You're the
Connor.
seafood poets.
Right. Whatever. You're still awesome.
I'm going to hit the mute button so we could bring up our next performer. We have about 3 folks left. Next is the third arm of the Jersey Trinity is Terry Rose. Terry, you here?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So I tried to do the one backwards forwards thing, and it works if you read it forwards and then backwards, but not sideways. I couldn't figure that one out. It's too complicated for me. So this is the love poem to myself. My hands always busy, my mind always working, my body always moving, no time to rest. Have to keep moving. Death will come, and it's time now, more sooner than later. Resting is for the dead. I will push on. I won't lay down and die. My will is stronger. Yes, a strong will shall get me through this life despite its troubles. I will be planted and strong like this tree, forever bending with the gales, storms, hurricanes of the world. I will not topple. I will flex, almost to break, but not breaking. My leaves will fall. My branches may shed, but the purpose is to stand tall as the testimony to those that were cut down. So I'm going to go the other way. To those that were cut down, to stand tall as a testimony, but the purpose is my branches may shed, my leaves will fall, but not breaking, almost to break. I will not topple, I will flex. Storms, hurricanes of the world, forever bending with the gales. Like this tree, I will be planted and strong. This life, despite its troubles, should get me through. Yes, a strong will. My will is stronger. I won't lay down and die. I will push on. Resting is for the dead. More sooner than later. Death will come in its time now. Have to keep moving. No time to rest. My body always moving. My mind always working. My hands always busy.
Oh,
resting is for the dead.
Always busy.
Dope.
Wow.
Love it. That was so dope.
Let him know, Terry.
My favorite
There
part of
was so
Terry
many
is like
quotables in
you'll
there.
be at these readings and you'll see her picture and like her name. She won't really say anything, and then we're like, "Oh, Terry, do you want to do it?" And then bam, you're like, "What? Oh, damn, okay."
I really can't pick which one I prefer because I love them both. After the first, I was like, I think this is my favorite piece of yours ever, Terry. And then after you finish the second way it's read, I'm like, and this too. Like they are just so congruent and so powerful and symbolic. Like you took the charge of the extended metaphor of your selfish. I see it, I feel it, and I oh man, so powerful. Like, who?
Thank you. Namaste.
Namaste. The light in me sees the light in you. And the light, what was the light in me despite? I still keep the light despite. And this is all happening during a really strong storm over here in Jersey, in the tri. So I think you just summoned it, Terry.
Well, storm god, of course, duh.
Well, yeah. But
Thank you.
thank you so much, Terry. Wow. Holy shit. I hope all of y'all do stuff with the pieces you've written in here. Like I'm expecting to hear these, see these around floating in orbit, and it's been really surreal. Tara, speaking of earth and trees, we're going to bring in the earth right now with Tara Lee.
Hey everybody, thanks for having this workshop. It was awesome. I wrote a lot of stuff, so I'm hoping that everything goes well. So I wrote about myself as a tape measure, partly because I have one on my desk. So here goes. I am a tape measure, measuring the lengths people go just to be themselves. 30 years and counting, my tape keeps unrolling. God just keeps scrolling, then standing me up. Don't let go. I'll wobble. Don't let go. I'll bend. Don't let go. My perfect posture will snap to an L, and it hurts too much when God tries to put me back into place. I wonder when he'll finally reach the end. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wasn't ready.
Oh,
Measuring the length that people will go to be themselves. Was that the line?
Wow.
Yeah, that was the first part. Yeah.
Tara, that is also my favorite thing I've ever heard you write. Like, I don't know what magic is being held within this space right now, but holy shit, that was so powerful, Tara.
Thank you. Oh my gosh.
L. Oh my God. I don't want to be curved into this L, but when God tries to like reel you back in, oh man.
All I can think of, you know how like when you let one of them go and it's like it goes so fast. That's exactly how that poem hit me.
Ah, yes. Oh my
Whip.
gosh.
And it can hurt you. It can hurt you, you know, like it hits your, you know, it ricochets. Wow.
Yep.
And that came from just what was on your desk.
That's how you workshop. Right there. That is how you make a poem out of that shit sitting on your desk. What?
That was actually our last assignment was going to be a closet or skeleton piece where you had to scavenger hunt something in your room or your house and find it and write about it after reading Hoarder by Star Davis. So I might just work that into a future workshop because I had Star Davis reading her piece and then I was going and finding some shit to write about, but you know, time and such. I'll just work a whole like searching workshop together.
I think maybe it's time to organize some kind of like weekend retreat workshop thing. That would where we all do classes, and I think let's all talk someday, guys. I have an idea.
I think we should definitely network on that. I think a series of different stuff taught by different folks would bring some really fucking powerful different layers out of us. Yeah, it's a fucking great idea.
Absolutely. I'm in on that. Sign me up. We got teachers up in this room. How we write our poetry.
We'll all chat. We'll do like a weekend
Poetry
retreat somewhere, like
I love
fucking rent like a few cabins. And oh, dude, I'm in my head. We're doing this.
It's going to be a big tribal circle of folks connecting with the earth, ingesting the earth,
The portal.
ascending. Oh man, holy shit. All right. So we've got two more readers to read. I'm going to hit the mute all real quick. No rudeness. We're going to honor the space. Oh, my dear friend, Yasmin. So like I'm just letting y'all know, like, this is one of the people who knows me like in life since college. And she's a
Yes.
fire poet. She's come through the Nuyo before to read a collab with me.
Yes,
But she's gonna,
LPS.
yeah, LPS fam in the house. But she's gonna come back through the Nuyo real soon, right? Maybe like reading one of these pieces on a Monday or Thursday, right? Yes, right.
I mean, if y'all like it. I mean, but I will say that you guys are amazing wordsmiths. Like, wow, I'm so honored to be in this space with you all. This is amazing. And thank you, Paul, for doing this, because it definitely was the inspo I was looking for. I will. Okay, so I really found the concrete poem interesting, although I like to do the first one that we did too. So I put it's a really short piece, and it's in the shape of lips, like a closed mouth. Like, I'm an artist too, so I wish I could show y'all the picture, because I was surprised at myself. Like, oh shit, it worked.
We'll figure out a way. We'll get it on the Book of Face or something on the
right. That would be so cool. So it simply says, because this was the self-portrait, right? So there are things she has in store, but she can't fully see. Fortune kept quiet, and the fortune teller is me. And the next one was so awesome, how you made us go through different forms of writing. And it became a cohesive piece with all of the different, using your left hand, using, not being able to see. So this is what I came up with. I love how it folds on both sides. Over the colorful beads I wrapped around it, only as decoration, only as celebration of its stretched exterior, marked to prove itself as a vessel, marked to show its stressor had alleviated himself from within. As he came out 3 pounds, 6 ounces, I love how it nurtured him for that time till it could no more. How it could store him and any other being I chose to come forth, while also holding 2 worlds of swirls, moving bodies in circular motion, flowing, both spinning as spirit trickles upwards through color-coded spheres. Orange speaking to my desires, yellow tiptoeing into confidence, the confidence to wear it out, crop top, exposing all of its moments of surrender to bread and pizza pie, and even showing the determination I could have sometimes while my eye are on the tiger stripes life has given me, but that don't have to define my sexy. I love how it loves me, even when I beat myself up about its appearance. But yet still we meet in the middle. We meet each other in the middle, finding that the beautiful she is imperfectly perfect, and so perfectly me. That's all.
Ooh, unmute, show some love.
Woo! Yay. Thank you.
Wow.
That was so gorgeous.
You're getting
Like,
all kinds of love.
swept away in the middle of it, this like wave of like imagery and just like sensation.
Yeah, that was the part where we had to close our eyes. I was like, I see it, but I don't know how to put it on there the way I want to. So that was so dope that we got to do that.
You're saying you don't know how you did it, and you did it.
Yeah,
thing,
but
right?
still, but that
the poem was just moving through you.
perfectionism.
That's all. The poem was
Yeah.
moving through you, so you
Yeah.
didn't have to see it. But that was gorgeous. The way that they meet in the middle, right? Like I thought it was what it was, but then when we got the birth of your son, right? I was like, yo, this is some really real, powerful, potent earth shit. I didn't expect any less from you guys. So
I appreciate that, Paul.
yeah, don't be prefacing the like, if y'all like this, I'll come through the New York. That's a given. That's a given. So come through.
You're
through.
awesome.
Yeah. So much love. So much love. So I'm gonna hit the mute all, and we're gonna have our last person of the day close us out. We're gonna have Vasilios. Vasilios, come through.
What's up? What's up? I don't know if I have like good service. Can you hear me well enough?
Yeah, we can hear you. The video might be a little choppy, but I can hear you. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm trying to send down somewhere cute that I'm gonna get,
It's chopping a little bit now. I think Vasilios is making it.
Thank you so much for having me. All good.
We need, oh, it's on a stage too. It's so perfect. Okay, hold on. Let's wait and see if it'll catch up with you, because I want the whole atmosphere, the whole ambiance. So we'll see if we can get it. If not, we might have to turn the video off. Your network bandwidth is low.
Do you want to give me 2 minutes to see if I can connect to a Wi-Fi that's in here?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we could keep talking and chopping it up for 2 minutes to get such a theatrical close to our show. I think that's only the appropriate way to do it. And if we don't, we can
really
just have.
Appreciate it, and then I'll continue.
Absolutely.
Perfect. Give me 1 second.
Don't worry about it. Yeah. So I'm glad we are holding space for Vasilios to get to go. Yeah, y'all. So I'm gonna ask all to unmute, so I'm not talking to myself. Does anybody want to read something or sum up their feelings on today's workshop, on some of these prompts, anything that stood out to us?
This is amazing, and what you've done with this workshop, Paul, has been. I think it's my favorite workshop I've ever been to. Like I'm being real. I've been to quite a few workshops, but like this one was definitely like different. You brought a different sort of vibe to it that's different than a lot of other workshops, and I love what you've done right here. And I hope you, whether it's with Nuyo or with your own thing, I hope that you continue to make workshops and everything.
Thank you, brother.
There are 2 things I wanted to mention earlier. That one was Norm had made a comment or was responding to something about nerves. And whenever, because people ask me, because when I perform, like I'm really excited to see you guys live, because oh my God. But like when I perform, it's a show, and people are like, well, how do you do that? Like and it's those nerves. It's when you feel that shit brewing up in your stomach, you suck that shit in and you blurt that shit out, and you just emote all over everyone. And like that takes your performance to an entirely, so love those nerves, cherish those nerves, use those nerves. And April had said something about whether or not the poem was coming across the way she wanted it to. One thing that I've always loved about workshops, my favorite part of workshops, is when you read something and you hear people's interpretation of it, things that you never intended, things that you were hoping people would get, whatnot. And I always tell people when I run workshops, I always tell them, when you respond, write down what people say, take what's good, don't worry about it, but look at it from a holistic point of view. Like how did the audience receive your message? How did the audience perceive what you were saying? And then what do you do with that when you revise? And not just specific, but take how people have perceived what you have said and add that when you're.
Yeah. And I'm going to entreat all of y'all to please take these works and revise them, put in the necessary steps that are going to get them to where you, I mean, they're all performance ready. Everything I heard today is performance ready. So y'all don't need to continue to iron stuff out. But I mean, like, as far as whenever you feel it's ready, please continue to, because yeah, I have seen like just diamonds come out of this space, like black, beautiful, shining diamonds. And I really hope y'all continue to do the necessary work so you feel comfortable putting them out into space. All right, so we're still waiting on the Wi-Fi from Vasilios.
You didn't read anything.
What happened?
I'm surprised you didn't read anything.
No, I'm not taking up space. I've taken up all the hosting space. It's good. It's a good space to be in. I'm gonna revise all the stuff that I got though, and maybe do one mutant formed poem, but I'm happy with a lot of the things that I produced also. These are prompts I selfishly wanted to do also. So thank y'all for entertaining and for trusting, like, because it takes a lot to trust to come to a space and to close your eyes. It really does, to come into a space and close your eyes or trust yourself to write with a hand that you are not used to operating with, right? Okay, Vasilios is stage ready. I'm gonna hit the mute button on everybody so we can see them perform. Shut it down.
All right, I think this is as good as I'm gonna get. I'm standing at the door of the theater, but I left the door open. Apparently this door shuts out the Wi-Fi. So as I was saying, thank you, Paul, for holding this space, having this workshop. I've been looking forward to this workshop since you came up with the idea for it, since you fucking like was like put this into fruition, and I was like, yeah, I'm coming, Paul, I'm coming. And then I started working, which was really unexpected. So that's what happened now. So I'm working. I didn't fortunately get to experience the love of this workshop, but the way that y'all are acting has me feeling that this was something spicy and that this storm is here for a reason. I wrote this a couple weeks ago in response to something else I wrote, and I definitely wrote it with this workshop in mind. So thank you for giving me the space to share it. I've been meaning to fuck you in the garden, except this time I'm poison ivy, and you lie eagerly in my weeds. Take me, you say, and I do. Community garden rules. Take off your shoes. You must feel the earth on your feet to connect with me. 2, stop, breathe, open your lungs. Take a hit of this weed. 3, trees. We smoke trees, we plant trees, we hug trees, and we weave our roots and limbs together like trees. 4, to the floor now. Our clothes slowly biodegrade, cling on to each other's sweaty bodies in sweat, mud, and rain. 5, please do not be shy. Act a fool. Laughter is the best way to keep this dick thick. 6, don't forget to lick. The roots, the stems, petals, hairy, whole. And did I mention this dick? 7, in order to climb to the heavens, we must fuck like gods, goddesses, nymphs, satyrs, and all in between. 8, don't be afraid to wait. There's no time. The more the place when eaten. While you ride me, grab on tight to the butch that arch a line. 10, no fucking teeth. Thank you so much.
Yeah, the ending. 10 no fucking teeth. Oh, I'm gonna unmute everybody so they can show some love. Cause wow.
Did I mention?
That was amazing.
What
Thank you,
perfect
thank you.
way to end the night, because now we're all spent.
That shit.
Wow.
That was wild.
Let me tell you, I am scared to walk back into work because I have the door open. I know it hurt me.
Now they all know what you really like. They're like, oh, we learned about Vasilios today.
This storm is here for a reason.
Good, because they were underestimating me. They were truly underestimating me. Aren't
Now
these
they know.
lights like super cute?
It
We are
is.
working on gaining access to this space to host more vibrant things. But as box office people, you gotta work a long way to get up there. So hopefully we can have some open mics up in the Queen's Theater in Flushing Meadow Park one day.
That was my literal thought. My thought is when we have an event there. But it looks like a good space.
I keep y'all in
Well,
mind every time.
You're the first of our community to bless that space with a poem that has come out of its soil. So appreciate
That's
that.
a fact. I just christened this bitch. Thanks for that. Thank you for having me. I'm really sorry, like I missed everyone today. I was like truly thinking about it the whole time. As every customer walked in, I was like, and then my boss was like, we're good for now. I was like, word?
Goodbye.
It's that feeling when people walk into a restaurant at like 9:57 at night and you're like, we close at 10, motherfucker, right? And you're straight up just like, I have commitments, right? And so you're just cursing them under your breath.
And it's been slow all night. You already bricked the grill, and it's like, oh no.
And they order the red snapper
every time.
Not even some simple shit, you know. You got to peel scales off the fucking. Yeah.
Oh my god! You have to go catch the fish from.
You have to get it
Thank
from
you
a
so much for having me.
No, thank
This
you
was
for blessing the
really
space. Thank you. And
beautiful. Thank you again. I'm gonna let you take it. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I think that's a perfect note to end this on. And everybody has other things. It is a Saturday, and we have held 3 hours of space where we only planned 2. So I thank all of you for holding that extra hour of space for one another, for this community, for one another's voices. And it's been I feel really blessed. I feel bountiful. I feel like I'm walking out of here with a lot of grace and positive energy. So if y'all want, you can unmute. Yeah, abundance, just so much abundance overflowing. If y'all want to unmute, say one last prayer, one last howl to one another, and I'm going to close out the room.
I will talk to the New York.
I'm whispering.
Coming.
Ah, this has been elemental. Oh, I'm putting this in my pockets. My pockets are so heavy with all of this and all of you now.
April, please come join us in the New York community. I would love your work, like on our virtual stage, right? If at all possible, you know, reach out to any of us. My email, I'll put my email in the chat or social media. Follow me at Paul Con Queso there. And if you want to know how to sign up for New Yo Mondays and Thursdays, we would really love your voice in the space. Anybody else too. Jennifer, like your work was tremendous. You would be an enormous, I don't want to say asset. You would be an enormous contribution to our community. I want to speak in positive words and not capitalist words, right? You would, you know, I feel like we found so many other sources, so many well springs of inspiration today. And James, I didn't get to hear your work, James, but I thank you for showing up and holding this space. And you know, Kira, Yaz, I'm not gonna force you, but I'm going to insist that you come out more often because I really love hearing your work too. Thanks for holding this space today, everybody. This has been phenomenal. I'm honored to have this be my first proper New Yo full-time thing. It's not gonna be the last, right? So I love you all. Love, peace, and poetry. And I will see you on the other side of this space. All right?
Namaste. Have a good one, bro.
Namaste.
Namaste, Ashe, and I love you all.
Thank you all.
Mwah.